All righty, I would like to call to order the City of Lawrence Redevelopment Commission meeting for Thursday, January 13th, 2022. And Joe is going to read us a special thing for the online guest.
Thank you. The public is invited to attend meetings of the Redevelopment Commission. The RDC may impose reasonable restrictions on the number of attendees to control audience density in consideration of the existing COVID-19 national emergency. The public may participate remotely by dialing 463-777-8704 and entering PIN number 523923. Additionally, if you'd like to provide comments remotely, please email them to jmurphy@cityoflawrence.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
That's what I'm here for.
And we do have a quorum, and we have Jerry online joining us, so we have a full house today. Are you going to do the election of the president?
I certainly can. Yeah, so this being a new year, starting out 2022, we do have all returning members to the Redevelopment Commission, but we do need to elect new officers. So we have election of president, vice president, and there's an omission there. We also have to elect a secretary. So at this time, I would like to hear any nominations for president of the Redevelopment Commission.
I'd like to nominate David Blunt for president of the commission.
All right, we have a nomination for David Blunt. Do we have any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote for approval of David Blunt as the 2022 president of the Redevelopment Commission. David Blunt. I don't know if you're allowed to vote. Jerry Clifford.
Approve.
Yeah, thank you.
Approved.
Thank you. Cheryl Sullivan.
Approved.
Melissa Howard.
Approved.
Ray Rohana.
Approved.
Congratulations, David. You're president once again. We'll now move on and hear nominations for vice president of the Redevelopment Commission for the year 2022.
I would nominate Jerry Clifford again.
Okay. We have one nomination, Jerry Clifford, for vice president of the Redevelopment Commission. Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote for approval. David Blunt.
Approve.
Jerry Clifford.
Approved.
Cheryl Sullivan.
Approved.
Melissa Howard.
Approved.
Ray Rohana.
Approved.
Congratulations, Jerry.
Thank you.
We now have one final position to fill, the role of secretary. I will hear nominations for the role of secretary.
I would nominate Cheryl Sullivan for that role.
We have one nomination, Cheryl Sullivan. Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote for approval of Cheryl Sullivan for Secretary of the Redevelopment Commission. David Blunt.
Approved.
Jerry Clifford.
Approved.
Cheryl Sullivan.
Approved.
Melissa Howard.
Approved.
Ray Rohana.
Approved.
Congratulations, Cheryl.
Thank you.
All right. On to our minutes. I'm assuming and hoping everyone got a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting. And if everyone has reviewed the minutes and there are no questions or comments, may I have a approval?
Just, Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope I did I interrupt somebody else?
No, you're good, Jerry. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Just a typo if you'd want. Under old business, item number 2, civil engineering RFP, line 2, the trades district is published. I think if we put an ED on that, it'd be better.
Thank you, Jerry.
And other than that, I think they're fine.
Are there any other questions, concerns, or comments? And if not, may I have a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second for approval of the minutes. We'll do a roll call vote for approval. David Blunt.
Approved.
Jerry Clifford.
Approved.
Cheryl Sullivan,
Approved.
Melissa Howard,
Approved.
Ray Rohana.
Approved.
Thank you.
All right, and next on our agenda is the claims and purchase orders. And actually, Tyler, will you kind of do a quick review of those?
May I interject, Mr. President? So as you look at the $300,000 for Fbt, I want to remind everybody that in their incentive agreement, there were two $300,000 payments. I think I've made you aware last month that this was going to come up. The first payment was due at the time we received a certificate of occupancy, which I now have in possession and Joe has filed. So that payment is due, and it's technically due immediately or last week. But anyway, we've told them they can pick up the check tomorrow if you approve it today. The second payment will not occur until 2023. And Tyler has accounted it into our financials as we go forward. So I just wanted to make you all aware that that's the situation there.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Covers a third of the claims list. So the first one is the Barnes, typical. That's for our November legal services, and then the BCA is our ongoing grant agreement with them as well. So there's a very short list of claims.
All right. Does anyone have any questions or concerns?
Neither. I just a comment or a question. Actually, it is a question.
Okay.
We, at the last meeting, voted to approve upcoming billings for independent contractor services agreement bills from Mr. Zerner. And I was of the impression that we would be seeing those beginning this next month.
That agreement, Mr. Clifford, became effective January 1, so my first invoice will be to this commission in February.
Thank you, sir.
To clarify, with this being the first January claims, you're covering things from last year. So that's why we haven't seen those yet.
You're running a month behind, so we're actually taking care of December's business right now.
That's fine.
Great.
Thank you for wanting to be sure I get paid, though.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions or comments? And if not, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second for approval of claims and purchase orders for payment. We'll do a roll call vote for approval. David Blunt.
Approved.
Jerry Clifford.
Approved.
Cheryl Sullivan.
Approved.
Melissa Howard.
Approved.
Ray Rohana.
Approved.
Thank you.
All righty. Now we will get to the old and new business, and I will hand the meeting over to Dan for this portion.
Thank you, President Blunt. So, first of all, I have asked Controller Dowdett to not present financials this month. They haven't changed since December's projections. Short of the $300,000 we just talked about, and our agenda is so full, I'm asking him to come back to you with an update at our February meeting. I assume that's satisfactory to the commissioners. As far as the City of Lawrence stormwater ditch restoration, we're still waiting for one more quote that Joe made calls on at least as early as 10 o'clock this morning. We'll see where we are with that in February. I don't want to rush that. That's a big number. The Trades District RFP is due February 24th.
Correct.
That RFP, we have had, I would venture to say, 30 to 35 engineering firms in City Hall meeting with us, and there's still more meetings scheduled. The amount of interest in that project is unbelievable, which should give us some really good proposal responses and let us learn a lot from what the engineering and professionals are seeing relative to that matter. At the moment, it's my intent that we will set up a scoring system in collaboration with the city's engineer, Scott at Utilities. We'll have representatives, of course, from the RDC, and with your permission, I'd like to invite a representative of the council and a representative of the Board of Works, because I think we're going to need all those parties to help share in the cost of this, and I think it's important that we're totally transparent with them. And I'd like them to participate in the interviews that we select and use to select the group. So that's what I'm anticipating at this point in time. So as we get to the end of February and into early March, that'll be a heavy activity for us.
Dan, can I ask you a question? do I recall correctly that you were thinking too of having multiple engineering firms perhaps work?
What we're hoping is that the proposals come in are a collaboration with 2 to 4 engineering firms in a team, one team.
Okay.
I don't anticipate at this time that we'll make one firm selection that'll do all the work, that there'll be a consortium making those submissions.
Thank you.
And we have put a fairly significant emphasis on minority and women's-owned businesses and other types of things as part of that. So we hope to get that kind of participation.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I've had several people reach out to me as the president of the RDC, and I'm working through them, but I'm leaning a lot on Joe and Dan as well. So yeah, it's very, I don't know if competitive is the right word, but it's, people know about it and it's out there.
They really want this project as a high-profile project. Okay, so that takes us to 4711 German Church Road. And as a matter of just history, that's a property we acquired in a tax sale several years ago from the city of Indianapolis. It had an old dilapidated house that was a public, not only a public danger, but had a fire and different things in it, and it was a danger to the children and people around it. So we leveled it, we filled in the basement, we removed the other outbuildings, we cleaned the property up. We had the environmentals checked on it. Phase 1's completed, no issues. We mowed the property off, we cleaned it up, and we put it up for sale. This group approved the sale of that property a few months ago. We advertised it, and then we hired a realtor, Tim Kieser, who's here with us today in case this group has any questions for him relative to this matter, and we have 3 proposals in front of us. The first proposal is, and Mr. Kieser, if you correct me, please, if I'm wrong in anything I state here. The first proposal is for $90,000. To our understanding, it's for family residence construction, single home construction, and has really no stipulations of any kind or restrictions that come with the offer. The second offer is $105,000 and doesn't have hardly any restrictions other than it does require the survey be completed, but it doesn't say who pays for the survey. The third is $115,000 for a commercial structure to house kind of a mechanic shop, warehouse, and truck storage outside and kind of a service distribution point. I might remind everybody that this property is zoned residential currently, and that would require a rezone. One of the stipulations in the $115,000 offer is that the rezone had to be accepted or the offer could be withdrawn, among others. I assume you've all had a chance to review these. They've all been in front of you. As your consultant, my recommendation is that we accept the $105,000 residential offer, primarily because I think, to be fair to the residents around it and because of what we know the current climate is for zoning changes within residential neighborhoods, I don't think it'd be looked upon favorably. And if we would lose this offer and have to backtrack, I just don't think it's good for this group. So I'm recommending that we accept the $105,000 offer, subject to the following: a review by Mr. Donaldson as our attorney of the offer and any suggested edits he incorporates on our behalf. I also suggest that we offer to pay whichever is least, Mr. Donaldson, $2,500 or half of the cost of the survey, whichever is least. If that's acceptable to this commission, I would appreciate a motion to that effect.
I would make the motion to accept your recommendation.
I'll second.
Hold on, Joe. I have a quick question for Bruce. Bruce, if we refuse this offer that we will refuse, do we have to give them a reason why?
No.
No? Okay. I didn't know if it was because the price was better, that if we had to go back and say, because blah, 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 but okay.
I'm pretty sure that our advertisement and originally said we could accept offers. And there is one other thing I need to add to that. We had in the original group a stipulation that if construction hadn't started in 2 years and wasn't completed in 3 years, that we could buy it back at 80% of the value. That is part of what Bruce is prepared to put in the counter.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And we have a motion and a second on the table for the approval of the $105,000 offer to purchase 4711 German Church Road. We'll do a roll call vote for approval. David Blunt.
Approve.
Gary Clifford.
Approved.
Carol Sullivan.
Approved.
Melissa Howard. Ray Rohana.
Approved.
Thank you.
Okay. We have an offer on the table for $35,000, I believe it is, for 8022 East 46th Street, which is the old pool hall next to the Gold Brick Tavern. We had advertised that previously, had a couple responses that we didn't feel good about that we turned down. Since that, we've had this offer from Fbt Community Services, and the gentleman who owns that company is here to tell us about him, what he'd like to do with that property to be sure you're comfortable with him making the purchase. Sir, you may come up and speak at the microphone, please. Introduce yourself if you would, Eric.
Thank you for having me. My name is Eric McDowell. I'm the owner of Fbt Community Services. Let you know about my company. I started back in 2005, straight out of college. I started the company as a way of getting experience because I didn't have experience straight out of college. So I kind of liked it, doing my own thing. I did find a job, but I did this part-time. I built it over the years. Been certified as a veteran, small-owned business. The state of Indiana. I've also been verified by the federal government as well. What I plan to do with the property is it's basically going to be for my storage, the area there. Out of my sales and stuff like that will be appointment-based, online, and a few walk-ins. Right now, I run it out of my garage, so it's not feasible for me in terms of growth of anything like that to make my business grow. So this was a great opportunity, just the space itself and the structure in the area. I live in Lawrence, so that's pretty good for me.
Isn't it my understanding you both have visited the facility, is that correct?
Yes.
And isn't there quite a bit of debris and stuff in the building that needs to be cleaned out?
Yes, sir.
And you're willing to clean the property up and make it look acceptable?
Absolutely.
Questions for Mr. McDowell? So given the nature and the history of that transaction and the trouble we've had keeping the property clean and what we're trying to do with that block, I'd like to make the recommendation that we give Mr. McDowell a chance and support his veteran-owned business by granting this sale.
Mr. McDowell, what will you be storing in there?
It will be IT equipment like laptops, monitors, keyboards, mice, things of that nature.
But you won't be working out of that location, or you'll be working out of there too?
Yes, I have to work out of the location.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be a viable commercial business just with some storage to support your sales online, is that correct?
Correct.
And what type of signage then, if it is a business that would also invite walk-ins, business transactions from the public, do you intend to have it labeled with signage?
Yes, I have a logo, so I'll definitely put that up in terms of people knowing where I'm at. It's kind of hard for someone that's come to your house all the time. So.
Okay, thank you.
And to Commissioner Sullivan's point, we do have a signage ordinance that we have to comply with, so you want to be sure you get that properly permitted through the city.
Absolutely.
Any further questions from Mr. McDowell? I have a motion to approve the sale per his offer.
I'll make a motion to approve the sale.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioners?
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for the approval for the purchase of 8022 East 46th Street from Fbt Community Services, LLC. Do a roll call vote for approval. David Blunt.
Approved.
Jerry Clifford.
Approved.
Cheryl Sullivan.
Approved.
Melissa Howard. Ray Rohana.
Approved.
You have unanimous approval, sir. Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for supporting Lawrence. And so, Bruce, would you like to advise him what we need to do to complete this sale?
Yeah, we'll probably just need to put together a little purchase and sale agreement and then work with the title company to get it closed.
Closed and
So could we expect that within 30 days it would be closed?
I would think we could, it depends on the title
Yeah.
part, but probably,
That's reasonable.
yeah.
All right.
And then let us know how we can help, because I would love to see it get bigger and bigger and bigger, so.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. McDowell.
Okay, the next item of business is 80 13th East 46th Street, the former motorcycle shop. Remember that burned down years ago. The RDC got permission, or got possession of that, again, through a tax sale, I believe. We had environmentals, both phase 1s and phase 2s done to show that was completely clean. Then we put it up for offering per the requirements of the state of Indiana and statute. We received one offer. I'm going to ask our attorney, Mr. Donaldson, to open that offer at this point in time.
Okay, we received one offer from Metro FiberNet LLC, doing business as Metronet. And the offering price is $22,500. And we can review the rest of the package and come back with a recommendation.
I believe there was a minimum offering price,
$15,000.
$15,000.
$15,000. So
Correct.
our assumption is that, assuming we review the rest of the offer, and there, let me ask this, if we can do this, Mr. Donaldson. Can we get the Board of Commissioners to accept this offer subject to your review?
Yes.
That's what I'd like to happen here if possible, because I know Metronet's in a hurry to get deployed across the city, and they've already started to work. So if I could get a motion, and I appreciate the fact that they're investing in Lawrence, so if I could get a motion from the commissioners to approve this sale subject to review by our counsel, Mr. Donaldson, I'd appreciate it.
So moved.
Mr. Clifford, so moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
And Mr. Rohana seconds.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote for approval. David Blunt.
Approved.
Jerry Clifford.
Approved.
Cheryl Sullivan.
Approved.
Melissa Howard.
Approved.
Ray Rohana.
Approved.
Do we not have Metronet people here today?
We do, yes.
So again, I'm sure this will go through. Once we review it, we thank you very much and appreciate your interest in the City of Lawrence.
Does anyone have any questions for either of the individuals?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Next item on the docket is the parcel I call 10148. That's really not the right address, but you have it in your packet on the survey that Banning completed. This is the parcel that was currently city right-of-way that we want to break into commercial parcel for offering. We're ready to finish it up, but we need approval of $2,500 for Banning to rewrite the legal description and update that so both Bruce and Caitlin Voller, the city's attorney, can complete that work. I need a motion to approve $2,500 to Banning Engineering for that work.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Sullivan.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the agreement with Banning Engineering. We'll do roll call vote for approval. David Blunt.
Approved.
Jerry Clifford.
Approved.
Cheryl Sullivan.
Approved.
Melissa Howard.
Approved.
Ray Rohana.
Approved.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to old business. There are several things that aren't on your agenda I need to bring to your attention. First of which, if you'll recall back to your minutes of last month on item 3 under old business, the RDC financial update, Controller Dowdett came to us with different scenarios of how we could refinance the bond debt from several years ago and increase our cash balance. A balance I think we desperately need to take every opportunity when it's prudent so that we're prepared to help this trades district engineering and other things we need to do. Interest rates are almost certainly to move up with the announcements this week of what inflations are doing. I would like to have approval for Mr. Dowdett to pursue that bond refinancing and get a package and a presentation together for you to approve at your February meeting. If you're inclined to agree with me that we need to get that done. So I'm not asking you to approve the package. I'm asking you to approve him seeking the final proposal to refinance that. And keep in mind that we can't approve it by ourselves anyway. We have to go to the council. So we make the approval ourselves, subject to council approval, and then Mr. Blunt, Mr. Donaldson, Mr. Dowdett, and I will have to go to the council and ask them for final approval. So we're looking at 60 to 90 days to get this done. I think we need to get a commitment in front of us.
Mr. Senator Dan, could you restate what you want us to approve?
All I'm asking you to do is, for the existing bond that we have, I'm asking you to give Mr. Dowdett approval to go to an institution or two as he feels appropriate and bring us what he feels is the best refinancing option available to us for our subsequent approval of that option.
And that's in the form of a motion, right?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote for approval. David Blunt.
Approved.
Jerry Clifford.
Approved.
Cheryl Sullivan.
Approved.
Melissa Howard. Approved. Ray Rahana.
Approved.
Okay, the next item, Joe and I have a legitimate, very strong prospect now working on the Nidco Kaito property that is the property behind the 4423 Shadeland that sits between it and the interstate that last year we did the Christopher Burke drainage study on for the wetlands area. We have a legitimate prospect that we've met with this week, and the realtor, Stan Elser, that's representing that. I think there's a really good opportunity that we could locate the perfect fit for that could represent a 50 to 70,000 square foot building in there with some really nice improvements for a company that just fits the bill perfectly. It may require, or it'll definitely require a rezone, but I think we have a case to rezone that based on the fact that the wetlands area is sitting against the interstate's I-3 anyway. So that is in the motion. I would expect us to have some movement on that by the time we're back in February, but it's by far the strongest prospect we've had on that for some time. Also wish to report that Best Equipment has reached out to me, and they're going to do an expansion of their facility. And they already have a beautiful facility over there on Poindexter Drive, and we're in process of helping them with that. Finally, Harrison Ford, they've received their permits to start doing all the clearing work to change the old ugly retention pond into a free-flowing creek and make that more of a nature type preserving area to the east of their building prior to their expansion to occur later this year. So as you can see, with your help and other things we have going on in the city, we've got a lot going on. I think it's an exciting time to be in Lawrence. This is an exciting group to work with, and I appreciate your support. So the only other thing I would suggest, Mr. President, there's a face out here I don't know in the audience. We know Corey. We don't get to see her very often. You might see if anybody would like to ask this RDC anything that's out in the group. And then I turn it back over to you.
Hi, I'm Liz Mizer, and I have been working with the City Council, and I'm a member of the Lawrence Community Parks Foundation, which works with the parks, and I've been involved with lots of people around here getting pollinator-friendly habitat planted in Lawrence to make Lawrence a monarch butterfly destination, which is not only good for butterflies, but it's good for people, because if we have a healthy environment, that's good for all of us. So I look forward to talking with all of you about, in addition to building here in Lawrence, also making sure that we have wildlife habitat, native plants, and that we are looking after the health of our community and making it more beautiful, making it a butterfly-friendly place. Thank you.
Thank you. One opportunity that may exist there, it may not exist right away, but I know that you and Councilor Rosenroth and others are working hard on that, and I appreciate that. But we are, if you're not aware of it, the Pendleton Pike is going to be totally renovated by NDOT starting next year with landscape medians. The city will not be able to afford right off the bat doing anything but grass, but the plan over the next 3 to 5 years is to turn that into all different types of landscapes. So maybe there's a chance for some butterfly habitat built in those medians.
Could I set up a meeting with you to?
It's too early.
Okay, but.
But I want you to know I have it on my mind.
Okay.
And as we work through that, we'll try to figure out an opportunity to make that happen. But we're probably a year off from being able to really have any discussions. But that's how slow the state works, but we know it's going to happen.
Well, excellent. Thanks for letting me start thinking about it and planning.
Okay. Anyone else from, everybody good? Okay.
Corey, he didn't mean you can't say anything if you want.
No, I welcomed it.
Okay. All right, is there any other business to come before the commission?
We executed a lot in a half hour.
We did. Okay, if there's no other business to come before the commission, I would like for someone to give me a motion to close this meeting.
Moved.
I'll second the motion.
All right. We have a motion and a second for adjournment. We'll do a roll call vote. David Blunt,
Approved.
Gary Clifford,
Approved.
Cheryl Sullivan,
Approved.
Melissa Howard,
Approved.
Ray Rahana.
Approved.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all.
We're adjourned.
Appreciate it.